1, address 2, city, state, zip code. I can actually, I'll need to change this later, but we'll just leave that as is. Let me add a note in here. I will show you guys how to do an alter table also. Okay. Phone 1, phone 2, email. Okay. Now this should work, I believe. So let me do this. I will highlight this part, okay, and hit execute. And now if I go back to the Object Explorer, right click on my tables, do a refresh, it's there. Okay. Obviously there's no information in here because it's empty, but I actually did want to add some constraints to this. So if I need to recreate a table, I could obviously do a command called alter table, okay, but instead of that, let me do a command called drop table. Basically this will get rid of the table. Okay, so now I just executed that. I come here, refresh, it should be gone. So now let's do this. I'm going to add some constraints in here. Okay, now let me do this. So when you're adding constraints, you have to start with constraint. Oops. And then let's do a primary key. So we'll go pk student ID. So this is going to basically map to this field here, okay, up here. But this pk underscore student ID is actually the name of the constraint, okay, and it's going to be a primary key on what field? Well, on student ID, okay. And then so that's our first constraint. Let's do another one. We'll call it constraint. Typically you start with CK or CHK. I'll go CK, social security. Okay, this one needs to be unique. In other words, you can't have repetition of this. So really, if you think about it, I mean, this could be a unique identifier in our table. Apologize. This field could be a unique identifier, and this field could be a unique identifier. Okay. And then let me do one more, which is constraint CK. Let's do state. Let's do it on the state. So we'll say state. I'll say that most of our students are in Arizona and Texas, or not most, actually all of them. Okay, so you do constraint, name of the constraint, check, which means it's going to check the value, and I'm going to say field, which is, remember, is state. Okay, state in. We'll do let's do AZ, comma TX. Okay. So I think that looks good to me. Let me go ahead and execute this. Bummer, it doesn't like that. Okay, so I got this error. Let me see what it looks like here. It's really possible that I need to put this in parentheses here. I think it likes that one better. And that's the thing with TSQL code. It will definitely take you some practice to do this. So I basically added 3 constraints: a primary key, unique, and a check constraint. Okay, I'm going to create this table. Now it likes it. Okay, and you do a select star. So let me actually take this out of the comments, put it here, highlight this one. There's nothing in it right now, at least. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this one. we can go back to our school other script. This is the insert script that I created, okay? And we don't need to use this command. It's called truncate table. Basically clears the table. Okay, so we're in the right database. I want to make sure what else I needed to do. I have the teachers table. I just created a students table. I am over here inserting data. Okay, so let me do this. Let me walk you through this. The command to insert data is insert into, actually you could just go insert, name of the table, which is students, okay, and then basically you list the fields. So you go last name, first name, gender code, blah blah blah. The important thing is that this information matches up with the actual values. Okay, so you go insert into table, fields, values, and the actual values. Okay, now if I did this right, in theory this should work. Let's find out. I'm going to highlight this one and hit execute. Okay, good. So now it says one row affected. If I come here and do a select star from students, we should have data, and yes we do. We have the student ID. Now notice one thing interesting in here. In my insert statement I did not have student ID. And well, how did the one get here? If you remember, if I open up my script that I already closed, remember that we created student ID as an identity column. So that means that we do not have to worry about providing a value. SQL Server will do just that. Okay, and we can go back in here, refresh the table. It's right there. When I go to design, another thing you'll notice that is that the student ID is also the primary key. Okay, which basically means that it has to be unique. Alright, so moving on, we got one record in. Oops, I don't know what I did. Clicking too many things. Oops. Okay, where is the... Somehow I lost my Object Explorer. Oh. View, Object Explorer, there it is. Okay. I think I got a little excited there. Let me kill this one. We'll say yes, and it's getting a little bit late at night. I should really be out and about instead of I am making a video for you guys, but it's alright. So now we entered the record. Again, if I run the select, we have one record. Okay, I am going to run these next insert statements and kind of show you what some of the things. So let's try this second one. Okay, that works. Now if I run the select, by the way, in SQL you can highlight the query and then just run it. Now I have another student, which is actually my sister Sadia Mughal, who is visiting from Pakistan. So I figured I would put her in a database too. Okay, and then so I did that one. Here's our other student. Another thing you'll notice, by the way, is that any kind of character information, you have to put them in single quotes. Okay, this one, which is our flag, remember, was the integer, so we didn't need to do that, but everything else needs to go like that. So let me go ahead and highlight this. Okay, aha, look at that. It says insert statement conflicted with the check constraint CK state. Conflict occurred, database school, table students, column state. It even tells you where the problem lies. Now if I go back to my definition, I don't know if you were paying attention, but constraint right here says what? Well, we need to be in the state of great state of Arizona and Texas. Well, what are we trying to do in the insert statement? We have Massachusetts. That is not going to work, so let me do this. I will change this to AZ. Okay. And then try this again. Now it should work. So now I think we have 3 records, and let's go check. Okay. So here we go. We have 3 records. Okay, which is good. And then finally, I'm trying to enter one last student. Okay. Look at that. It says cannot insert the value null into column active flag. Column does not allow nulls. Okay, so let me copy this part here. I'm supposed to be putting some errors in here, but anyway, so let's take a look at it here. Okay, so we have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh field, right? And where's that in here? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. See, we're trying to insert a flag value of null. Okay, another thing we could have actually done, which let's say we can try that, is take this completely out. Okay, well, it's actually not going to work here because we did not create a default on this one, so I do apologize. Let me go back here. I need to enter 1, okay, which means I need to make this person active. So highlight this one. Oops. There you go. Okay, so that worked. Now we should have 4 students in here, and here you go. Interestingly, you'll notice that it is skipping the numbers. What happens is that SQL was trying to insert it last time and errored out, but it did use up that ID, so it doesn't want to use that again. Okay, but here we are. We have record, we have students, we have 4 students. Let me close this one. We actually have can't even remember, I think 2 teachers. Oh, 1 teacher, which is me, and then we have 4 students, which is right here. That's a pretty good student-teacher ratio. Another thing, again, you can do is you can right-click, script table as, select. Okay? Just execute that. I think that is where I wanted to finish up. Maybe last point is the template browser. Let me just show you that, since I haven't brought, I mean, I've been talking about it, but I haven't showed you that. So this is a great place. This is awesome area where you can learn how to do TSQL, SQL commands, and they have broken it down by area. So if you go down here by table, you'll notice that you have a lot of different commands. Okay, how do you add a column? All you need to do is double click on it, okay, and it gives you pre-built template. See that? Alter table, add column name. Well, what if I wanted to create a table from scratch? You just select that one. See, it gives you create table, name, columns, constraints, bingo. How about dropping a table? Well, that's a pretty complicated command. It's just drop table and then the name. So the template browser or the template explorer is a great way to learn SQL if you are not familiar with it. And I think that is all we have today. So I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much. Have a good night.